everybody, Moo here. Well, you guys have been asking for this one for quite some time as well. Quite a few requests, actually. And of course, I have to comply with your wishes. That's just how things are. And of course, we are talking about Moo's Top 10 SL6 International Score Rankings. We added 2 extra Tsum Tsum, and we shuffled 2 others around from the previous iteration. And it is, again, for SL6, because if you are talking about score, and you want to compete on the highest level, it's got to be at SL6, I'm sorry. But here's an extra little bit of value for you guys at SL1. If you are interested in the top 5 SL1 scores, I got some great news for you, because do you see these top 5 right here? They're the same ones at SL1. How's that for value? All right. Anyways, let's get started. Again, this is the list for 2018. And here are the major things you need to keep in mind when you're going for high score attempts. 1, your player level makes a big difference. The higher your player level is, the more of a score multiplier you're going to get. That's going to be static. It's going to be present for every single game you play. So, of course, you're going to have to grind that out. That's hundreds and hundreds of games to get that up to a reasonable level. And it's definitely going to serve you well, because again, it applies to every single game. You don't need to spend a coin on the score booster, which you will have to do if you are going for score attempts anyways, but it's always there, always present, always serving you well. The other thing you're going to need is, again, to get the Tsum Tsum, your primary scorer, to SL6, and also level them up to 50, along with all the other Tsum Tsum that they could potentially summon into the game as support Tsum Tsum, because as you know, even with the 5 to 4, you get 3 random Tsum that are supposed to have clashing colors. Not always. Thank you, Line. Yep, you good job. Anyways, you are going to get at least 3 other Tsum Tsum at random, and if they are low level, it's definitely going to hurt your score. So make sure you level up those Tsum Tsum. Very costly, again, because you have to unlock their skills, and that's quite a bit of coin, especially once it starts costing about 10,000 per unlock. But that's where hard trading comes in, and you know, we get pushed into a corner. We got to find a solution to get the coin we need to answer the problem. Anyways, let's get into the Tsum Tsum themselves. If you look at the top half of the chart, essentially you will notice a very strong trend. Almost all of them either create time bubbles to extend the gameplay, or extend the game some other way, or they're just that good. You know the legend? The Legend 27, Jedi Luke, that's him. If you were ever wondering who it is, that's the guy right there. He's so good, he doesn't need to make time bubbles. And he's also the best coin earner in the game. So again, just a reminder, he's here now. Make sure you get him, because he's probably not coming back for quite some time. Anyways, of course, the Queen, Cinderella, is at number 1, because with her ability, you can basically get 9 to 12 or more attempts at time bubbles every single time you use her skill, and nothing touches that as far as score and time extension. Oh, and on that note, I should say, the 4th thing you need to get really high scores is a very good phone, preferably a newer iPhone. I know that sucks, but with older phones, especially older Androids, your score potential is going to be heavily limited, because the screen refresh rate is going to be relatively low. And even though you might be an incredibly good player, you're going to get crippled by your hardware, and that's really unfortunate. I really wish they would address this. This is not like a graphics heavy or processing heavy game. They need to optimize it and just make it more fun in general. But anyways, I've been ranting about that a little too often lately, so we'll skip right on over to the reason happiness Tsum Tsum exists. That is, of course, Piglet. You guys know how he works. He is the 2nd most powerful scorer, because essentially you don't even need to touch his skill. Every time you charge it up, he just adds more time to the clock. But he does have a relatively steep learning curve, because you need to know how to kind of position the Tsum Tsum yourself while you're swiping, so that you can make those 9 to 16 chains manually and get time bubbles. That's really the only way to push the upper limits of what Piglet can do. Oh, Jedi Luke, you are truly the legend. He does the reverse of what the others do. Instead of adding time to the clock, he freezes the clock. So, as you guys know, even though every time you hit Jedi Luke Tsums with his skill, you are only getting about half the recharge value they would otherwise have. You're clearing such a ridiculous number of Tsum Tsum with his ability that generally speaking, you can chain his skill over and over and over and over again, which really freezes the clock for a substantial amount of time, allowing you to get some ridiculous scores upwards of 100 million. Again, you got to have the right hardware for that as well, but he is extremely capable. That is why he's just unbelievable, and he's going to give you a ridiculous amount of coin as well. And I love the gameplay. He's definitely my favorite Tsum Tsum as far as the power rankings go, and he's number 3 on this list. 1 second. All this talking is, you know, the throat's getting a little dry. 1 second. All right, here we go. Number 4, it's you again. Well, Maleficent Dragon, we meet again. You seem to be on the top 5 list on every list. And really, Maleficent Dragon is just that strong. As you guys are already fully familiar with what she does, I was about to say he, but what she does is essentially every time you make a chain, it also explodes the surrounding Tsum Tsum. So if you make it long enough to get those 9 to 16 chains, you get the time bubbles, but that's not all. The explosions also hit the bubbles themselves, which means you don't have to manually clear them. And if you get score bubbles, that score bubble will get applied as a multiplier on top of the number of Tsum Tsum you're clearing with the chain that hit that score bubble. So extremely powerful. In fact, look at the difference between the regular Maleficent and Maleficent Dragon on this list. That is simply because of that feature. Because Maleficent Dragon is able to interact with the bubbles directly, she makes it that much more potent of an ability at number 4. At number 5, we have ourselves the Mouse Squad. You guys know how Conductor Mickey and Sorcerer Mickey work. They're very much time-based Tsum Tsum. I actually have a dedicated tutorial on how to use Conductor Mickey. And again, mostly you got to go for the time bubbles with Conductor Mickey. He's very powerful, very fun to play actually. I like the note thing scrolling up the screen. Make sure with the large red ones that you don't pop them when the screen is completely full. Try to hit them a little bit off screen because they will hit for 18 plus, and that's going to push you out of the range. So you got to shorten them. Use the smaller green bubble first if you need to. Anyways, just watch that tutorial. I go into a lot of detail about how to use them properly. At number 6, we demoted Surprise Elsa because she's not performing as well as I would have liked. So unfortunately, the lesser queen, who used to be the primary queen before Cinderella made an appearance, has now reached number 6 on the list. With her, you get 3 attempts at a time bubble for every skill use. Again, with Cinderella, you're going to get 9 to 12 or more. So there's a massive difference in the number of time bubbles you can generate with Surprise Elsa compared to Cinderella for the negative side of things. Next, we have number 7, which is the Field. So these are where we added a couple new ones. Blue Fairy and Pocahontas are the new Tsum Tsum we received that are now on this list. They're very capable. Blue Fairy does require some skill. You got to know how to position her blue bombs so that when you do explode them, they interact in the way you need them to maximize your score. Yoda is actually my favorite out of this list because he again freezes the clock. He allows you to make chains across the entire screen and therefore pop all the Tsum Tsum on screen. And also, if you save your score bubbles and you pop them during the Yoda time, they will apply to all the Tsum Tsum you're clearing, which makes for some ridiculous scores. I love that gameplay, very fun. Kind of like Bumblebee Pooh, but more for score-oriented results. Next is Maleficent. Again, very much like Maleficent Dragon, except you got to pop those bubbles yourself manually, and because the score bubbles don't interact with the chains, your score is going to suffer quite a bit. And also the time you're wasting to pop them, you really got to get your mechanics down so that you're popping and generating chains at the same time. It's kind of hard, really, I gotta say. It's probably one of the more difficult Tsum Tsums to master in the game, but the score potential on the upper levels is definitely there. So really good Maleficent, very much deserves to be on this list. Number 9, Moo Hates Me. Well, Okay, Gaston, here's the thing. I don't hate you. I hate the fact that lines screwed up your skill. See, if everything was functioning with you the way you were intended to be played, you know what? All good, all good. But until they fix you, I can't. I'm sorry, Gaston. I'm so sorry. But you still deserve to be on this list. You're very capable. And still a good coin earner as well, second best in the game, because chances are Prince Ali is going to be nerfed into the ground by the time he gets his way to the international servers. So still number 9, still good. Don't worry about it. Number 10, only enough magic for rank 10. You know what, Genie? You should be happy you're even on this list. You're one of the ancient ones, aren't you, as far as the Tsum Tsum go? But very much like with Yoda, the skill for him, or the strategy for him, is really to save those score bubbles until he hits with Pete's punch and he clears the majority of the screen. He's also going to hit the score bubbles, which are then, of course, going to get applied to the Tsum Tsum he's clearing with that punch. And all the skill variations for Genie are rated at SL7. So that is why he's actually ranked 10 on this list, because he is rather capable. But, and this is a huge but, massive but, all right? All of these Tsum Tsum are only as good as your luck, because the RNG factor in this game is so strong. It's really one of the things that really pisses me off about the game. You can play 100 games with Cinderella and not get one of those games where she's going to give you sufficient time bubbles to crack 100 million. You might have to play 1,000 games if you're really unlucky. It really depends. It's really quite unfortunate. Same with Genie. You can play a game where he will use Pete's punch one time. You're storing 3, 4, 5 score bubbles at the bottom of the screen and he just won't punch the effing screen, man. It is what it is. So the 5th thing you're going to need to get high scores on this game is patience. And that does it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this list is to your liking. And if not, if you have any questions, anything like that, leave it all in the comment section below. I'll try to do my best to answer you if I know the answers, of course. And as always, thank you so much for your likes, your subs, and your viewership. And I'll see you guys next time.